All right, you guys can start off with your opening statements, I guess.
All right, no, not yet. It's
Not
just
yet?
not
Yeah, just let people come in first. Like,
No,
so we get like 4 viewers.
All right, let me make sure it sounds fun.
Oh gosh, Mark, get on my document.
All right, it sounds like it's good. We're gonna wait a second though.
We have 2 viewers.
How do you check?
I just looked at it on my phone and I'm one of the viewers. So, if
I'll be
you put,
watching the live stream from my thing to make sure everything goes right.
All right, I'm finna upload this.
An abortion debate between the members.
Go Walker, post the thing.
You got 5
Mark.
watching right now.
Mark, check your Insta.
All right. So welcome everyone.
Well, welcome everybody.
I'm gonna have
Everybody's ready to start.
the YT pull
Not yet.
up.
Let's just a little bit.
YouTube.
Walker, can you post a thing?
Yeah, Walker, post a
Mark,
possibly on
Mark,
our channel.
It's going right now.
I'm tired.
You know, I'm intrigued on Braden's refutations.
I'm interested in his entire doc.
You want to see my doc?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, after this.
Nah, yeah, I'm not showing it to you now. No.
Yeah, because it might just be no.
You trying to send it to me though, Dave? Brandon?
No.
Rip.
Mark has it though.
Why do you call him Mark?
That's his name. Mark Politics. Profit.
Oh, Mark Politics.
That's the
Oh,
name.
isn't he like a Mo Politics Part 2?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's a lot smarter. He's very smart, pro-lifer.
Wait, Mark Politics is? Come on, I'm too confused.
Well, he pretends he's pro-choice in his
Yeah, we
video.
got 8 people on. Let's just start now.
All
All
right.
right. Well, you guys can start with your opening statements then.
Can you post a thing, Walker?
It's taking a minute. It's at 60.
All right.
It's fine. Doesn't matter. We'll post up right there.
Yeah.
So, as pro-lifers, we believe that life begins at conception and personhood begins at conception. Any other line that's drawn is very arbitrary and I would say kind of malicious at some extent, dehumanizing some malicious
All right.
words, whatever.
Yeah.
But we believe that any other line drawn is dehumanizing to what we already consider humans. And yeah.
All right, Walker.
You want me to go ahead with our opening statement?
Yeah, because I'm gonna do the thing I was talking about.
All right, let me find it. All right. So, as pro-choicers, we believe that abortion is a complicated and multi-level discussion consisting of philosophical, biological, and legality. While some see abortion as unethical, there is a distinct start and end to when a person has value. From 18 weeks to 28 weeks, a fetus has developed its cortex. So I can't say the word.
Cerebral
cortex.
cortex.
The requirements for personhood are emotional sentiments and interpersonal connectivity, aka subjective experience. Biologically, before 18 weeks, a fetus does not have the developed organs to sustain personhood, making the fetus insignificant. It is intellectually dishonest and emotion-based to say that human life is valuable just because it's human life. That's why we believe that abortion is completely ethical and as such a human right. The idea that human life is intrinsically valuable simply because it's human is circular reasoning and is an appeal to emotion. It's circular because it goes, human life is valuable and it's valuable because it's human life. This is incredibly meaningless and it's only defending
tautology. Alright, so I have some questions. No, I have some questions. Do you believe life is intrinsically valuable?
Yes.
Do you believe that we should be able to pull the plug on Brandon?
Whoa. Wait.
What?
No, don't agree to that.
I guess this is where me and Conrad differ. Okay, let's.
Human life is intrinsically valuable. Like an animal, that's still life, but that's not necessarily valuable.
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess.
human life. Human life.
Yes.
That's what I said. Human life. Is
Yes.
human life intrinsically valuable?
Yes.
Do you believe that we should be able to pull the plug on brain dead people?
Yes, because they've lost the natural capacity to do it again.
Oh my god, they're using natural capacity. All right, let's get into this.
All
All
right,
right. All right, so if you use the natural capacity argument, it's fallacious in many ways. First, it bases a premise off a conclusion that's naturally fallacious. It takes the conclusion that human life must be valuable, and then writes a premise to encompass all human life that they arbitrarily designate as valuable. This is a largely unsound argument. We effectively agree on most things, but our line of reasoning is based on observation and deduction, not whimsical fantasies. So, basing a premise off a conclusion which is naturally basing a premise off a conclusion is basically me saying, "Oh, well, I think I did well on the test."
circular logic. But the thing is that our logic is not circular because so our claim is that life begins at conception, and then our second claim is that we can't make an objective value because we are living in a how do you consider this? We're living in I guess non-defiant world. So you can't make metaphysical
can you
claims.
Can you? Okay, you took this straight from somebody. I can tell. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Sure. So like
Half, I can tell.
it's not. I told you I was guided by Sapa JJ, but let's go into this. So what I mean is my claim A, for it to be circular logic, I have to what you were saying. It is human value. Life is intrinsically valued because it is human, and human
I didn't say.
life is.
Wait, hold on. My claim a second ago was that you were basing a premise off a conclusion, which is not always definite. That was my claim. I wasn't saying that's circular logic. My claim was that it bases a premise off a conclusion that isn't definite.
Which conclusion is that?
That a fetus will become a person.
How is there any other interest where it hasn't, unless it was natural causes?
20% of miscarriage or 20% of pregnancies and miscarriages.
Sure, okay, but whenever
Okay,
that's
don't
a
think
natural
that,
process. That's not. It didn't require any
wait.
external force or any external
Yeah, learn to speak
factor.
English.
Wait. By your logic, we should abolish all medicine, all hospitals.
No,
They're not
you're
natural.
directly killing something. You're not letting something be killed.
Well,
That's the difference. Because if let's take the violinist argument. If you were to be abducted by a group of the musical theory or whatever, right? And you were
with another person, please. Just
What?
really fast, please.
No, wait, no, just let him in.
No,
All right.
How can
okay.
you like give him something?
So let's take the violinist argument, where let's say a musical group was to abduct you, and you were to help that violinist because of let's say donate blood or organs, something to help save that life. You are not obligated to, correct? Yes, you aren't obligated to. And if you were to let the violinist do with this natural process, it will end up dying because this natural capacity will not be how do I say this? It won't be active, I suppose.
Can you elaborate on that?
So whenever natural capacity is gone, whenever let's say an organ fails or you're brain dead, right, where you can't use the natural things to keep you alive.
But it's okay if something is natural or it's not natural and it keeps you alive.
Yo.
Okay.
What do you mean by
Walker-
not natural and keeps you alive?
Okay. Mark is subbing in for Walker. Walker,
Alright,
go
bro.
on.
I. All right, cool. So,
Whoa, okay.
Alright, bro. Alright, so you guys think? Okay, so my whole thing is in value. So just to clarify, I'm actually a pro-lifer, but I'm gonna debate my own side just to see if your arguments are good. And
Sure.
also, I like helping out Braden. All right, so why do you think life is intrinsically valuable?
We believe that life has a value because of its higher levels of consciousness and reasoning.
It doesn't have higher levels of conscious and reasoning until
No, hold on.
Well, it has the natural capacity to develop those things.
Oh
All right,
my
so
God.
natural capacity. All right, so are you saying because it has like the potential to do something, we should treat it as that thing, or
Well,
are you saying because it has the potential to do something, we should like protect its potential?
We should let the potential take its course, right? Or would we
But
not?
Potential applies that it's not definite.
Well, hold on, David Ricardo. Okay. So for instance, so we should let nature run its course for abortion or like for everything.
I mean, for life. I mean,
For life, for everything?
Unless we're helping it. I think that we should help stuff. But if we were to end a life before it even starts, it's not. technically it's already started because if it starts at conception. But we shouldn't kill something or stop something. We should help it, of course, but I don't
For
think we
the
should end
reason, for the reasoning of it being a human, or for it being a life.
it. The reason of it being human, which has the natural capacity to develop.
So
higher levels
natural
of reasoning
capacity. So does natural capacity equal value?
natural, sure, I guess so.
All right, cool. So natural
wait,
capacity
wait.
to. Okay, hold on, bro. Let me just take this. Okay, I'm going somewhere. All right, bro. You just need to let me do this. Okay. So the natural capacity to gain a characteristic. So for instance, we can establish that those characteristics would have to be objectively measured for you to say they're valuable. And the problem with objectively measuring something is you're objectively measuring it based on a subjective like line of thinking. So for instance, like when you're objectively valuing characteristics, let me give you this example. So let's just say two people are looking for a stove. Somebody's looking for a fast cooking stove and somebody's looking for like a slow like smoking stove. Right? You value those characteristics separately. You cannot objectively prescribe a value to something based on a subjective perception of a characteristic. So that's an argument inherently fallacious.
Wait, so like, let's say we replace the stoves and we say one is a girl and one is a boy, right? So
Yeah.
would we be able to kill one or kill a girl since it's not subjected to what we are looking for?
You can't objectively say it. Well, I don't really understand your argument, because what I'm saying is you cannot prescribe. Wait, no, that actually just proves my point, because you're saying that like a specific characteristic. I mean, we're not even talking about like, I think it matters that it's a fundamental difference in degree. So if we're looking at a boy and girl, right, that's a specific difference in characteristic, but I would say you cannot objectively prescribe them as different. And now when we're looking at like if killing something's moral or not, we understand that there is different reasonings for why we can either kill people or not. For instance, if like they pose a threat to your life. However, what I'm trying to establish is we're just talking about pure value right now, not if it's okay to kill something. And when we go past value, we can talk about that. But just looking at value as of now, you cannot subjectively prescribe a characteristic that objectively defines value. And so when you're saying humans are intrinsically valuable, and you're saying like the natural capacity to gain characteristics, you cannot inherently use those characteristics objectively by subjectively prescribing what those characteristics are valued.
Okay, but how am I using those subjectively?
Because you're saying they have the natural capacity to do like certain things, like I believe you said like build what natural capacity to do what? Like
Natural
be a
capacity to have human, which differentiates us from
Natural
from
capacity
other
to have
animals,
human?
like for having higher levels of reasoning and
All right, yeah,
consciousness.
good, good. So separation, that's good, okay. But here's the problem with that, right? If separation in and of itself, so you used reasoning. So I'm gonna kind of question on you on this and use like the Socratic method. So why is a higher level of reasoning more valuable?
Because it allows us to do things or like develop things that we that other animals aren't allowed to, right? Because we've been past the Stone Age. Where like, let's say the apes are barely going into the Stone Age, and we've developed so many technological advances. We've understood how our body works, our bodily autonomy. We've done a lot of things in the medical field, in the science field. Like, there's a lot of things that we were able to accomplish because of our higher levels of reasoning.
Yeah. So why? I understand like the difference in degree and characteristic, but why? Like, oh, I understand like the difference in degree and characteristic of like, like we have the ability to like achieve certain things, and like we have the ability to do certain things. But why is that valuable?
Okay, so then the question would be, why are we valuing life at all? Why?
Yeah, I know that is the question. Why are we valuing life at all?
Okay, so then a question for you, pro-choice, is why do you like for your spot? Why are you against homicide?
Or not.
We're not. Who said we're against homicide?
Question: are you against homicide?
No,
No?
we're not against homicide.
No.
Are you
Okay.
We think it's justified in many scenarios.
I mean, let's say you aggressively killing someone without them posing a threat to your life.
That's murder, so no, we're against that. But homicide is.
Homicide.
Wait, because homicide is illegal. And
Sure, but
murder
like
is
I'm
illegal.
basing this premise off of like a anarcho-communist or anarcho-capitalist society. But let's say there is no laws, right? A hypothetical thought experiment right here. Let's say there is no laws. Would you be against the killing of a life if
yeah,
it
so
did
here's-
not pose threat to
Yeah.
someone
So
else?
well, posing a threat. Oh, are you trying to compare this to abortion, or just like asking as a question?
I will later, but I'm just saying if you're like,
All right, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. All right, so here's kind of a lot of problems. So the reason we come to the conclusion on specific stances is we understand they can violate certain ethical principles, and we debate these ethical principles, right? So we can be like we can say like value can be irrelevant to the argument of abortion. We can say like regardless of whether you have value or not, you can't subjectively prescribe it through characteristics, which is kind of what I'm trying to establish here. I'm trying to establish that value really has no place in abortion because you cannot subjectively prescribe objective characteristics and then say those characteristics, because they separate us and we have higher reasoning, is in and of itself valuable, because you may think that, you know, what we've built, you know, may help society, therefore it's good. Or maybe we could argue that like society has hurt it like itself, like let's just say like the destruction of ecosystems, and maybe let's just say it's like done more bad than good, and then we could argue human life is inherently like non-valuable. But then I think we finally come to the premise that value really has no place in abortion, and we just have to look at either net goods or net bads, or we can look at like specific things. But if the whole argument is like killing humans is inherently killing innocent humans is inherently bad, then that argument is solely based on prescribing subjective characteristics and then arguing them from an objective standpoint.
Well, what happened? Okay, but like, I think I understand what you're saying. So like, what you're trying to establish is that we cannot say that these subjective values of reasoning and consciousness can be applied objectively throughout the human race.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, you can't tell me something has the natural capacity to become something, and then tell me what that something is, and then say that's inherently valuable. You'd have to explain to me why, like, creating things is good, and the antithesis of creating things is destroying things. So all I'd have to do is prove to you the antithesis. And then once I prove to you the antithesis, I just have to prove the antithesis is like more bad than good. So like, let's if you want to argue like human creation, we can argue that like humans have like killed more people than like kept people alive, right? We could argue that's like a net bad. So if you're arguing that something gives us value, I could give you the contrary and then to show you why it's not valuable. Therefore, it'd be basically meaningless and just proves our point.
Okay, so pretty much what you're saying is that my line of like defining when value begins is not, I guess, arbitrary in some sort.
Yeah, basically arbitrary. I mean, like, why are like here? Let me give you this. So like, why are you like? Let's just say like, what's the difference between here? Let me give you an example. So like, what's like the societal difference between like having 10 abortions, like let's just say in the first trimester, and then let's also say like 10 people using birth control? Like, what's the societal difference? What like changes?
I guess one hasn't reached conception and one has.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about societal implications, damages, things like that. Because a lot of what we base is like societal damage. Like, for instance, we have like killing another person is wrong because let's just say maybe like their family has connections to them, or let's just say like maybe we could say like there's some like more societal implications or overall damages. Because like if a bunch of people went on a rampage killing people, obviously there would be like negative implications. And then there's also like positive implications as well.
I would first contest that like society isn't actually a really important thing, and I don't necessarily understand how a effect on society judges whether it's moral or not.
For instance, like the Holocaust had a really negative effect on society because, you know, like 6 million Jews died, and it was like a really negative effect on them.
No, but why does that matter though?
What?
Why does that matter though? Why does it matter?
Why does societal impact good? Because I think it's important that, you know, we do things that either benefit society or not benefit society.
Okay, but like if you were to say that
individuals.
If I were to say what, you guys kind of both talked at the same time.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can go, Conrad.
I was just gonna say society is just made up of a bunch of individuals.
Yeah.
So the real net impact on society is just like a net impact on individuals in itself, right?
So why wouldn't you want what's best for the society?
Oh wait, utilitarian. Okay, but so then should we, if it was best for society for us to kill, let's say a society of 20, it was best to kill a society of 5 people, would that be okay for us to do because it is beneficial to that society?
Yeah. So like, for example, I would agree with that because let's say this. So let me give you an example. So let's just wait, hold on. So let me just give you this example. So let's say there's this large authoritarian, let's just say like the United States, and then the United States just comes to like a group of 20 people, and they say 15 of you can live, but the 5 of you have to die. right? Since it's positive for that 15-person society to live, if the 5 people die, then yeah, I think it's totally justified to do so. I think if you can prove there's like a positive output on society by doing something, then yeah, I don't see the problem with doing it. And I see why you're trying to phrase that, but like the way you phrase it just kind of proves our point that like if you had to choose between like 50 people dying and 5 people dying, I think the 5 people dying to save the 50 is justified completely. I mean, it's a bad situation, but it's justifiable.
This is just come down to like a difference of moral, or not moral.
Well, yeah, but you have to
moral
debate the
stance.
you have to debate the
But,
morals.
like,
You just have a
okay,
line
well,
of
we
reasoning to
believe in the
prove the
non-aggression
moral.
principle. Where we shouldn't be.
The NAP, okay, yeah, the NAP. Here, let me show you my. I used to actually support the NAP, and this is like me showing my real views. I used to support it, but now I don't. And the reason being is if somebody pollutes in the
Trolley?
air. What? No, I don't use the trolley problem. I'm not a canteen. Ew. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So like, for instance, pollution, right? The non-aggressions principle. Like, if there's pollution in the air, you're essentially allowed to pollute. You're essentially allowed to like stab the person polluting you because it's like aggressing towards you. And you could argue like, you'd have to like you could argue direct or indirect causes, but that's kind of irrelevant just because like if somebody's indirectly like stabbing you, obviously you can like you have your like if somebody's hypothetically sleepwalking indirectly and like stabbing you, you obviously have like the right to self-defense. So I don't think indirect or direct really matters. But if there's like a large coal plant that's like a mile away from you and like the wind blows it towards your house, then under the standard of the NAP, you could go to that person at the coal plant and like stab everyone working there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my main criticism, and that's why I support Rossian ethics, not the NAP. NAP is just kind of cringe because it's so contradictory. Because it's like if somebody pollutes, then you can like stab them.
Yeah, can you further explain Rossian ethics?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
So it's like a mix between like specific forms of utilitarianism and then also like rule to utilitarianism and act utilitarianism and then also Kantianism. It's like a mix in between the two.
And so
like
is it
taking
like,
good aspects, and then also
so
from
is
the NAP as well. But like a lot of the NAP is like cringe.
okay, so I've like done a little bit of research on the Rossian ethics, but like your Rossian ethics is that you can, if it is beneficial to a society without harming others, we can do it, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's more of like you guys believe in private property, right?
Yes, we believe that.
All right,
that's one
perfect.
of the
So
things.
here, let me argue from an evictionist standpoint. So you have the ability to evict people from your like for instance you have the ability to evict people from your private property even if death is a side effect if there was no implicit contract. So for instance, there's no agreement or implicit contract between the fetus and like the woman. So since there was no implicit contract, and the fetus wasn't even there, we can essentially treat it as like a stowaway on private property. And I assume you guys are like libertarian, right? Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you guys consider yourselves like minarchists, objectivists, and caps?
Minarchist.
Minarchist, yeah, exactly. Okay, good. So like under like that principle, I don't want to misrepresent your views, but under that principle, you guys agree that like you guys can like evict people from your private property like even without notice because like the government has no place in like telling you what you can do with your private property as long as it's like with specific limitations like for instance you couldn't like actually no, you guys are pro nukes, so but yeah, you can evict people from your private property even if the implications are death. So for instance, let's just say there's like a stowaway on your airplane. The evictionist view would be if there's no implicit contract, then you would be allowed to like throw them off your airplane. And so if there's no implicit contract, you can evict people off your property even if they're like death is a side effect. So for instance, to get the fetus out of the woman, if the only way she can do it is through death, then so be it, because she's allowed to evict from your private property regardless if death is an implication.
Okay, well, so
That's
there's
kind of just against the NAP, though, is it not? Or you're
Well, we can debate if the
aggression
NAP is good. I mean, we kind of went over the contradictions in the NAP and why you shouldn't necessarily.
with the
follow it.
pollution argument.
Yeah, with like how pollution indirectly hits you, and then we already established with my hypothetical of the sleepwalking killer, how like indirect or direct doesn't matter, because the main argument against the pollution argument is like that's indirectly affecting you, so you can't do anything. But I think we already established that even if somebody's indirectly like trying to kill you, you can like enact your right to self-defense or enact your like ability to self-defense. So now that we established like indirect or direct causes are irrelevant, we can see that if somebody's polluting and like you breathe that in and it's like a threat to your life, then you can go stab all the workers there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a very good contradiction to
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't support the
to the
NAP at all.
Okay, but either way, we've gone very far away from the abortion.
Well, actually, no. It's good because we established in abortion that this is the debate on morals. So I think that's where it lies. And once we can get on the same moral standpoint, I think that's when we kind of go back to abortion because we see that we disagree on like the NAP because you argue it from the NAP. But like when I show you the contradictions in your morals, you have to acknowledge that it's a contradiction and like move away from it because if I prove to you there's a contradiction in your morals, yet you use your morals as your sole basis for like why abortion is bad, then you can't really use your morals because I already contradicted them.
All right.
Okay, so let's say we were to switch to the Rosian ethics.
No. Oh, that's my pro-life stance. So let's not go from Rossian ethics.
Right,
I'll argue off of rural utilitarianism.
I really don't want to debate
Rural
Sure.
utilitarianism.
All right,
Yeah,
so-
sure. It's basically like the main contradiction to a utilitarianism on the act basis is like if you feel more pain to rape. If you feel more pleasure to rape somebody than that person is being pained, being raped. That's like the main contradiction to act. So I'll use rural utilitarianism where we establish specific rules that benefit the most people rather than an individual case, which I think works best for abortion because abortion is like more of like a societal thing that'd be legalized. So I think rural utilitarianism I'll use as my ethical stance, which is also like Jonah's ethical standpoint for abortion too. So I'll argue off of that.
All right. I guess since you have been asking us a lot of questions, we never got your specific like deadline of when we should not allow abortions to happen.
So I arguing off of this ethical principle, 18 to 25 weeks,
18 to
whenever
28.
whenever subjective experience happens, and the reason this is because it's the least common denominator between separating us from animals. So for instance, when I was debating you on value, right?
Here, actually, can
And
I
it
talk
went
about
to-
this?
No, I kind of like this 1v2. I think it's fair.
No, can I do it, please?
No, you can't. Stay out of this, Braden. This is my topic, okay?
Well,
Alright,
let
I'm
Brandon
waiting
talk
for
a
Mark
little.
to.
Okay, so essentially, we understand that a lot of your characteristics that you proposed were things that don't even happen until the baby's out of the womb. So we understand like the natural capacity to do something. So the problem with arguing off natural capacity is, you're assuming like something will happen, and then you make the rules based on that. So let me give you this,
Oh,
right?
and I have
So-
more stuff on natural capacity.
No. And
No,
your natural
no.
capacity hypotheticals are kind of cringe. Sorry.
No, wait. I won't.
No,
use,
they are.
I won't.
They
I
are
won't
cringe.
choose. I won't choose hypotheticals.
bro.
I'll just go over main
Hi,
points.
bro.
Let Brandon go. Let Brandon go.
Aight, bro.
Okay,
Aight, bro.
so one I already said it took a premise off of a conclusion which is naturally fallacious. It assumes that you have the moral right to reach your natural capacity. Like I'm gonna use one hypothetical. I have the natural capacity to win a race, but I don't have the absolute moral right to winning that race. Basically, you recognize that a set of intellectual traits makes us valuable, and they do not have these characteristics yet, or else your definition of natural capacity would just be human. All right, Mark, you can go.
All right, yeah. So the problem with arguing off of natural capacity is kind of like what Brain said, but my main contention with natural capacity is you can't use natural capacity to justify like anything, right? So we understand that you have the natural capacity to do many things. If left to your natural processes, you will eventually reach the age to take your driving test. However, that doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, you guys are libertarian, or minarchists, so you guys obviously believe that you guys obviously believe the government has some say and stuff, but not a lot of say.
Yes.
But you guys support like I assume you support like DMVs privatized, right?
Oh
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant
So
DMV.
you'd have to argue that the government should like come in and tell these DMVs, right? These 2-year-olds, right? They have the natural capacity to eventually reach 16, right? So therefore, since they have the natural capacity, they should now have the right morally to take these driving tests. And if like a 5-year-old like manages to pass the driving test, right, then he should do so. And
I mean, if you
then
can
you'd have
pass,
to argue. Then you'd have to argue that the government come in and tell them that natural capacity equals a moral right, and then you'd have to your logical consistency would have to fall under the government telling these organizations, right, they have the natural capacity, which means moral right, and moral right trumps self-ownership axioms. Because
I
rights
don't
are given
think
by the
that
government and it trumps.
is necessarily a moral right, like life is.
We're saying the right to life, right?
The right to
Yeah.
life is like not
Yeah.
the same as the right to drive a car.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying they're the same. However, I'm comparing the similarities. You're saying that they have a natural capacity to achieve like reasoning, right? And you're using natural capacity as the moral right to life. However, we understand that there's a lot of natural capacity like things, right? We understand that there is.
Well, all of those stem from the natural capacity to develop a higher level of reasoning and consciousness.
No, but I'm
Which you
comparing
don't have
natural
until
capacity.
18 weeks.
Wait, what'd you say, Brayden?
Which you don't have until 18 weeks. Like, I don't
Yes, you
understand.
do. Okay. Well, the thing
You
is that whenever you're making a premise of that it starts at 18 to 15 weeks or 18 to 25 weeks because of
28.
the cortex has been developed. It's just like we can go further back and just say that life. You cannot add a value to life unless life is already existent.
Okay, now you're using real libertarians. So yes, I agree that life is existent. Just because life is existent doesn't mean it's arbitrarily valuable. That's kind of pointless to
Well,
say.
I mean, that's just kind of like a chain thing, right? Whenever you go back to,
That's like me
whenever you
saying,
keep going
"Oh,
back
well,
to value,
wait.
you cannot add a value if there's nothing there.
What do you mean there's nothing there?
Like, can you add value to like literally nothing? Can you add value to it?
What?
This is so
What?
hard to explain. Okay, what gives something a value? Like, what gives human value?
What gives humans value? Personhood?
Okay, and
Wait.
where would you say personhood begins?
18 weeks.
Define it
Because
though.
of
Personhood.
Like the ability to process in a higher thought.
okay, but you have the natural capacity to do so, and they aren't
Oh my
doing that.
gosh, Mark, please help.
Okay.
All right, fine. I mean, I don't even. All right, bro, just leave this to me. All right, but let's have this a 1v2, and you can watch and use it for next time. All right. So,
Well, no, I helped, so it's.
all right, you can help. You can help sometimes. I'll give you permission to help like later. Okay. I No, it's
this
fine.
has gone
When we-
off from like what we planned. It's so
No, it's fine because
let's go.
remember, it's like morals. All right, so essentially, when we're arguing, like the burden of proof is on you guys to prove that like human life has intrinsic value.
yeah.
It's not on us to prove that like it doesn't have value. It's
when
on you
it
to
will
prove
have
it does.
Yeah.
It's on
well,
you
I
to, and
mean-
you can't just say it is valuable because we have the natural capacity to like reason and stuff.
Wait,
And
why?
the reason, because we understand that just because something has natural capacity doesn't give it anything. Like natural capacity gives it like I would agree with you. I would agree with you that it gives them the natural capacity to like have higher reasoning. I just don't see why natural like the reasoning stuff inherently gives it value, and just because it like will without anything will without like any external factors become that thing. I don't see why that in and of itself gives value, because you can't, like, for instance, you can value like higher reasoning, right, more than me. It doesn't make anything more or less valuable just because like let's just say me and Brayden value the higher capacity to reason way less than you, right? Thus making because you're arguing from an objective value statement, which you can't do based on sole characteristic. The only way you can
can't
argue
anything for abortion. Then if it's a subjective thing, you shouldn't be able to.
No, but we're trying to say that a subjective thing shouldn't determine like, for instance, natural capacity. The reason why natural capacity is different from argument is because we're arguing off of a current capacity, not a natural capacity. And the reason current capacity is better than a lot of things is because, for instance, you have the natural capacity to die, right?
I'm not
But we treat you as somebody in the current capacity, someone who's alive. So you can treat somebody, how they're going to become. Right. We can see that we have the natural capacity to be like born when we're in the womb, but that doesn't necessarily mean we give somebody in the womb the same rights as someone out of the womb just because they will eventually do so. So, for instance, like a dead person, we have the natural capacity to become a dead person, right? We have the natural capacity to eventually die, and this is without any external factors. This could be like naturally, like let's say a heart attack.
Yes.
However, we don't treat you like a dead person. We don't like light your body on fire and then put you in a coffin.
Exactly. You err on the side of life.
No,
Why?
that's not what we're saying.
What?
No, what we're saying is just because you have natural capacity doesn't mean that natural capacity gives you value.
And we're not going to treat you as something you have the natural capacity to become.
Yeah, just
Okay,
because you have
so,
the
like,
natural
let's-
capacity to become something doesn't mean we treat you like that thing or allow you to become that thing.
So if someone, let's say, if someone was to go unconscious or general anesthesia, either one,
Okay,
but
I have a
like they
study
are
on
not
general
able to,
anesthesia.
or they're
No,
not
they
able
have,
to,
they have personhood under general anesthesia.
not with your criteria.
Yes, they do.
No, because personhood has a definite start and a definite end. So the thing with, first of all, I'll counter both of your points. So first of all, under the highest level of general anesthesia you can possibly administer to somebody, they still have implicit memory that they can utilize, and they also still can lucid dream, right? Those are two characteristics of subjective value that a fetus before 18 weeks won't have, but after will have until irreversible biological cessation of, for instance, like brain function, right, where it's irreversible. However, under general anesthesia, under the highest possible level of general anesthesia, they can still utilize their implicit memory. That's one thing, and they can lucid dream, which is still falling under the subjective experience category. So under our criteria, yes, they still are people.
Okay, but like let's say, because like it's been proven that after like so-called like when called not called when determined dead, like the brain activity is still common like after 5 minutes, right? Where we don't know what's happening, but we know that it is still active. Would we still consider them alive after that, even though we've been considered them dead?
We're not. Well, that's when when it's irreversible. That's when they lose their personhood. So no, they're not
Exactly,
persons
that's when
because
they lose
it's
their natural
irreversible.
capacity as well. That's why like personhood and natural capacity are very intertwined.
Well, when you're comparing the two, you're comparing one where it's irreversible, and one where it's not reversible. So they're not really comparable because we understand that we agree that your personhood goes away when you lose value when it's like irreversible. We're not denying that fact. However, what we are saying is under the criteria where somebody's under general anesthesia, they're still persons because first of all, general anesthesia isn't the end of their personhood because they can still utilize their implicit memories.
Wait. So let me clarify something. So we're proposing a fixed timeline of when a fetus or human life has value, and until this timeline has ended completely, then they're still deemed value as a person.
Okay, but we're also we kind of agree with that as well. But we're just saying that it starts at conception because you can't put value into something if it doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, it does exist. It just doesn't exist as a human. It exists as sperm and egg cells. It's still a human life.
Well, it's an organism.
Yeah, we're organisms.
It's a human organism that will
have
a natural capacity to do the things that we do as humans.
Yeah, but I mean, we're kind of okay. So if the main argument is natural capacity, we understand you have the natural capacity, but why does natural capacity automatically mean like we either treat you as that thing you will eventually become, or why does it give you a moral right to anything?
It gives you the moral right because you develop the things that we consider valuable to humans.
No, it's not definite. It's not definite.
Of course, it's not definite. But like, let's say I develop let's say a kid with autism, right? Would we value them less than someone else? And let's say someone who is like a baby. Well,
No, you're proving our point, Jose, because you're saying just because you have the natural capacity to become something and gain characteristics, that makes you valuable. But you're proving that we can't measure characteristical value, which you're trying to do with this, autism argument. You're trying to tell us that, we can't subjectively value things less and act on it. However, you're acting on the characteristics from natural capacity. You just proved our own point because you're saying we should not, subjectively value something less and then, like kill it for that reason. But then you're using natural capacity to value something more. So you just proved our own point by saying you cannot subjectively measure characteristics and then act as such. You can only objectively measure certain things. But you just said would you value someone with autism less? No, because we understand they cannot subjectively apply valuable characteristics. Yet when natural capacity, you're asserting that they have the natural capacity to gain characteristics, and that makes them valuable. That's literally like a fallacy. That's like a contradiction times 10.
I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
I actually understood. I mean,
That's good.
That's kind of all I had.
Wait.
Well,
All right,
then,
let me attack your framework. So
So, Conrad, so his framework is that like we are giving it subjective value and acting on it objectively. So we're pretty much
Yeah,
like,
so
well, this
here's my
subjective
framework.
value.
Here's my framework. I guess I could probably explain my framework. I wouldn't say better, but no offense to Jose, I could probably explain my framework better than Jose. Just because
Yeah,
I'm like
your
no.
framework.
All right, so basically what you guys are saying, or I'm not sure if Jose is like pro-choice now or anything, because he like
probably
understands
not.
our side.
I mean, maybe I'll do more research onto it.
Yeah. All
We'll
right.
see,
So
we'll
basically, what you guys are doing is you're objectively valuing the characteristics that will eventually come with natural capacity. Now, the problem with doing this is that we value characteristics differently and realize you cannot act on subjective value, right? So, for instance, if I subjectively value like rape as good, I can't rape people. I think we agree on this. But time to apply this to like abortion. So you guys subjectively think that the natural capacity to gain characteristics is valuable. You think those characteristics are valuable, or that the natural capacity to gain those characteristics, right? However, you're objectively stating that those are either valuable or invaluable. However, we can subjectively disagree. So when he gave the argument, would we value somebody with autism less? He is trying to prove to us that you cannot measure or non-measure or e-measure, I should say, characteristics with value. But this actually proves our point because that's our whole argument, right? You cannot prescribe a value. So like when you guys are using natural capacity to gain characteristics as an argument, that's kind of our whole, contention to your point. You cannot show us characteristics with natural capacity and say those are valuable because like he established with that, autism point towards Braden, you cannot subjectively value characteristics. Therefore, it's a whole contradiction because he's proving to us with the autism argument you cannot subjectively value characteristics. Yet you guys are inherently subjectively valuing characteristics by saying the natural capacity to gain these characteristics is valuable. And that's a contradiction. Special pleading fallacy.
I think we can put like a necessarily to value itself, right? Because like you said, value is subjective.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily attribute a number, but you can, however, attribute value to something. And I think as long as it has
Not objectively, you can't.
Yeah, you can objectively, like for instance, this is actually where when I was debating Braden, this is actually like the point that I won on. But I'm not going to tell you guys it because then you guys can beat us. So I'm not going to tell you the point. However, kind of the main thing of it is, you guys were giving us, or Jose was giving us, the argument that like, is somebody with autism like less valuable? And what he's trying to prove is you cannot like subjectively measure characteristics or act on those subjective characteristics, right? However, when you guys are telling us they have the natural capacity to gain characteristics, you're contradicting yourselves because you're inherently subjectively measuring characteristics, which you guys just proved to us you cannot do or act on. Boom, clipped, silence, red pilled, Instagram clips.
Red pilled? Question mark? Blue pill?
Yep, blue pilled.
Became an Ancom. Sorry, became Sophie real quick.
what's your pro
Gonna
life like?
switch sides.
Stop it.
Alright, bruh.
Okay, wait. So Mark, you pretty much won this. You clearly
Thank you.
outclassed us. But how would you debate this? Since I know you are
Don't tell him.
pro-life.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
I'm gonna tell them.
I mean, we like.
I'm gonna tell them.
We'll see.
Yeah, all right, I'll tell you guys. So, for instance, I mean, there were so many times you guys could have contradicted me. I was actually kind of scared.
He literally,
so-
he literally said that you can't value X characteristics objectively when our whole argument is valuing X characteristics. So-
That's what I
mean,
that's what I said.
I-
Though. I was like, you guys are valuing subjectively. You're just like, no, we're doing. I was like, wait, what are you trying to like? I don't know. I got confused with then.
All right. Well,
your
anyways,
own-
here's how you counter the argument. So basically, my whole like philosophy, and also kind of like Af's philosophy, kind of what I've learned from him, and also like done research myself is, you cannot subjectively. Or objectively really value any characteristics. So, for instance, when I was debating
Here,
Braden,
watch me.
No,
debate
no, no, no,
Alpha
no, no.
Intel. No, and then
okay, fine. No, no. Well, I mean, are you okay? Fine.
It's not a real debate though. It's
Okay.
just a mock one. Okay, so basically, I propose a fixed timeline of when a human is value because of X characteristics, and it's the least common denominator between me or the human species and, let's say chimpanzees. And because you think objectively we're not as valuable as chimpanzees, that has to be why.
Why is the lowest common denominator valuable to assert there's a lowest common denominator, to assert that's like the lowest value statement you can make. But the problem with making the lowest value statement is you'd have to prove to me, the burden of proof is on you to prove that value in some way exists or is in part measurable.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying is because we are more valuable than chimpanzees, and objectively we are. And
Wait, that's the problem. All right, why are we objectively better? All right, why are we objectively better than chimpanzees?
because we have
Whatever you say, I'm gonna win, so I don't
Okay,
care.
okay.
Just say something. Say like
We're
consciousness or something.
we're capable of higher thought and processing information.
Are you arguing natural or current capacities?
Current.
Current. All right. So currently.
Don't use a natural capacity.
Yeah. Okay. So for instance, a chimpanzee has like a higher cognitive reasoning than like a 1-year-old. So you'd have to argue that like if
Yeah,
one
I
of
think
them
you can
needed
kill a
like a,
1-year-old. Yeah.
all right, then we agree. I don't see the objection.
All right, cool. See, I just won. Boom.
No. Okay. Fine.
Blue pill.
No, I said we agree. Okay. Fine. Okay. Well, Brayden, you know how I'm gonna counter that. You
How are
know
you gonna
how.
counter that?
I'm gonna say, why is a higher level of consciousness value? Like, why is that valuable?
Because it makes us more valuable.
That's circular logic.
Bruh.
I know.
Hi,
I'm
bruh.
just messing around. I'm just.
Hi, bro.
can't-
Okay,
I
well,
can't beat
this was
him.
a fun 1v2 plus Brayden.
All right.
This
Well,
is fun. If you all want to stick around and do a different topic, I'm so down.
wait, Brayden, are you for gun control?
No, gun control is
Okay,
unfettered.
good.
I'm a socialist though. If you want to debate socialism.
I need
Socialism
to
is
get more.
okay. I'll debate you socialism.
Economic
No,
calculation.
profit, leave, leave.
Fine. I'll leave. Fine. Bye. It's fun debating with everyone.
Yeah.
I'll-
GG's, Mark.
Thank you. Bye. All right. See ya.
Bye, Mark. Oh.
Brayden, I would debate you on economics, but I need to read more on theory.
I have a little bit of theory knowledge, so I'll do economics if you want.
All right, yeah, we can. All right. Are we doing capitalism or socialism, or capitalism v socialism?
I guess it would be minarchism versus socialism.
No. Let's do capitalism if you all are capitalists.
You want
All
to?
right.
Yeah. Let's
Wait,
do
what specific socialism or like what socialist
Rica-
ideal do you believe in?
Ricardian socialism,
Which one's that?
decentralized market socialism.
Wait, market socialism?
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
Robert App not debunk that like 3 days ago or whatever?
No, I didn't see it.
He debated Proud Snowflake, and that was terrible. But
Yeah, Proud
Oh.
Snowflake was yikes.
Okay.
All right.
So like, do you all have any contention
I mean,
with
it's
socialism?
Conrad. Conrad.
so market socialism itself.
No, just social. I'm gonna just pretend I'm socialist as a whole. I'm gonna be socialism as a whole right now.
All right, so like the basic, so just the basic definition of the workers owning the means of production.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I would first say that's not a hold up. Okay, so I first think that capitalism is the best way to distribute limited resources as we live in a world with limited resources, right? The most effective way to distribute these is through capitalism because you need some kind of price mechanism to attribute value to certain commodities. So I don't think socialism properly does that.
Are you
Okay,
trying
so-
to debate the labor theory of value?
No. I'm trying to debate like the economic.
So
capitalism.
basically, you just proved my point. Capitalism is a system that expects infinite growth, and like you just said, we are on a finite planet. So you kind of just proved my point.
It does. I don't know how it necessarily expects infinite growth, but we're not, I guess, finite necessarily.
Yeah, we are. Yes, we are. Wait, define finite resources.
All right. Well, I mean, you can't really make an absolute metaphysical claim, right? So you can't say for sure that the universe is.
It is finite. We know
infinite.
this for a fact.
I mean, you can't necessarily say that.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, explain why, Conrad.
Well, how can you? Well, all right. How can you know for sure that the universe is finite?
Because what we have is contained to our planet.
So, like the world itself or the universe?
Wait, are you expecting that we're going to other worlds so that we can live in a capitalist society?
Hold
that
on,
your
I think his
contention?
argument is
Is that
I'm not-
your contention?
I'm not necessarily saying, but okay, fine. So, even if there is limited resources, why exactly does capitalism uh, need constant growth per se?
you
It's
said it, so the burden of proof is on you.
me.
No, on Conrad.
Wait,
Oh,
what did I say?
you were
You
the one
said
that
that
made the assertion that.
Yeah, you said that capitalism is driven on a profit on a finite society or a finite planet, whatever.
Yeah, it's the only system that can properly distribute resources
No, what? How would socialism not properly distribute resources?
because the economic calculation problem, which I can go
Oh
into.
my gosh, this is so easily debunked, and it's actually so old. So, as a market socialist, there is currency. As a libertarian socialist, I don't think there is. But
All right.
even if there was, there's still trade and bartering, and the value of a commodity doesn't have to be with currency. It can be with anything else. Like literally, you can value it subjectively from business to business, so the economic calculation doesn't apply to like anything.
Wait, so are you arguing that value of a commodity isn't subjective?
No, I'm
He's saying
saying
it is.
I'm saying the value of a commodity is subjective to the business, so they can barter and trade from business to business, and whatever they see fit to trade it with is subjective, so they can make that decision.
In a socialist society?
Yes.
Well, Braden, but doesn't that pretty much contradict the labor theory of value, where like values determined on how much labor is put into it?
What?
I am
How is that contradicted?
I mean, you're just saying it's subjective, and then labor theory of value is saying that it is determined on how much labor was put into it.
labor, yeah.
But that's not a contradiction. What I'm saying
How is that not?
because the labor theory of value applies to capitalism. Like, okay, so the labor theory of value basically says like the amount of work basically determines the actual value of the commodity. And if the business, if the workers own the means of production and they worked on it, they can determine the value based on subjective like opinions and stuff. Like if they think that they work this
Sure,
much.
but like the consumer can also subjectively say that this price is not worth what I'm paying for.
Are you there?
Therefore, it would just be
You're
contradictory.
conflating price and value.
There isn't a price. What?
What?
How much?
No, Jose was.
What?
Yeah,
You're
Jose.
conflating price and value.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't. All right, let's say the value of that
Commodity.
object is not the same, or that commodity is not the same to what the producer values it as.
The producer is determining what they're trading it for, meaning they get to decide the subjective value, and they can trade it for whatever they want. But it is a voluntary transaction.
Yeah, okay, but like let's do a hypothetical, right? Where let's say the value of a teddy bear is worth a lot more to the person who produced it, and the consumers aren't willing to pay that price. None
It's
of
not okay. In socialism, there is no price.
them, or is not
Wait,
willing to
there's no
trade
price?
anything for that value. They don't believe that value is the same as what that consumers or that producer is
Okay, then they,
willing
then
to
they
trade
deny,
for.
then they deny the transaction. They aren't forced to trade.
Wait, two things. One, you said in socialism there is no price.
Yeah.
I thought
Because
you were
against your
out
free
of
market
on what
socialism, because you said that there is a price.
There's a difference between market socialism and socialism. I said I'm going to be debating on socialism as a whole.
Yeah, but isn't
So
all right,
market
fine.
socialism.
Socialism itself. All right, so why? So we have all right. So in Florida, there's oranges. Why don't we walk? Why don't we get like a barrel and push the oranges to the store?
What?
So why doesn't somebody take a barrel, right? Or no, they take a wheelbarrow, they put the oranges in the wheelbarrow and walk all the way to California and sell them from Florida.
I mean, they can trade them for stuff that they find the transaction
No.
worthy. Like,
All right, here. So
I don't
why?
understand the
All right, so
contention.
why doesn't somebody take their? All right, let's switch this up. So there's an orange farm in Florida,
Okay.
and they have a store in, say, Georgia, and they're selling the oranges to a store in Georgia. Why doesn't he ride his bike to Georgia to deliver the oranges?
He can.
I mean, he can. It would just take forever, right? Because
Why
it's
does it matter?
the oranges will go bad.
How is this applicable at all?
All right, let me continue. All right, so then if we're trying to get the fastest way there, why don't we use a jet to get the oranges from Florida to Georgia? Why don't we use supersonic jets to get there if that's the fastest way possible? Because economically, it's not smart. That's not the right decision to make.
Well, that's
We only have a
subjective.
limited amount. We only have a limited amount of jets. So how do you go about distributing certain goods and certain commodities, right? How do you distribute them in the most effective way possible?
What? Like you would any other way? I don't know. Like,
But you can't without some kind of something to compare it to. That's why we use money. That's why money itself is important.
well, you can say it's worth a lot. You don't have to say it's worth $15. You can say it's worth a lot.
Yeah, but there's no way to measure it. So what happens is you'll
Well,
run
people
into,
make the individual trades based on their view of subjective value.
yeah, but the problem is there's no way to properly allocate these resources without some way to measure. So
What do you mean?
that
So
was just-
measure what?
that was
Measure
an
what? I'm confused. Measure what?
Measure the most effective way to do something. The most
Measure the
effective
most effective way to do something?
to distribute.
Well, they're going to distribute it any way they can. They're just going to trade it for different goods instead of money.
So
What did you say?
they'll try to distribute it in the most economic way possible. The most efficient way is what you're saying?
I mean, it depends on like the business. I mean, it's not something you can say objectively. Like each
Well,
business
what's
is
to
going to do it
stop the-
differently.
All right, in a socialist society, what's to stop the orange company from saying we need 12 supersonic jets to deliver our oranges? Even
And
though
they won't get that. And I mean, like if they can't
who
they
says
can't
they
make
won't get that?
what?
Who says they won't get that?
Well, they have to acquire these supersonic jets somehow, right?
But you said there's no prices.
Right. And so they would have to trade something for these supersonic jets, but the people that sell the supersonic jets could always say no to the transaction. So it has to be an equal transaction.
So the society you're imagining, everybody just trades stuff.
Well, a society without money, yes. Market socialism is different though. If you want me to argue for market socialism, I mean, I would do that pretty much.
Wait,
Do you want me-
Braden. So why? So this is applicable to both systems, right? Capitalism and socialism, where you both consumer and producer come to an agreement on what they believe is valuable for, like, let's say the money that one is giving forth, that they're giving them value. They give value to that money, and that money is giving value to the producer as well, right?
Well,
And they
in
just
capital-
they
well, hold on.
voluntarily trade. It's like it's from money to commodity to money, right? So like it's pretty much just like a middleman, right?
No.
Yes.
So
How is
the
it not?
value of money has to do with inflation. The value of the commodity that they're trading for has to do with like the labor put into it. It's not applicable.
Okay, so if let's say we put the labor into multiple uh Germex bottles. I just saw one right now. So let's say we put multiple Germex bottles. The value will go down the more that there are. Would it not?
What do you mean?
So like if the value of a Germex bottle was very like let's say the supply of it was very low and then it turned to very high supply to where it was accessible to almost anyone, would the value not go down?
The value would go down, but it's a voluntary transaction, so they can decide
That's the
whether or
same thing
not
for
they-
capitalism though. So I don't know what you're arguing here.
So the problem with capitalism is the means of production are owned by a private owner, so it's anti-democratic and
Not
human.
necessarily, because the producer can't gain any profit unless the consumer is willing to transaction with them.
Repeat what you just said.
The private company cannot make profit off of anything unless the consumer is willing to voluntarily trade its services or commodity for that thing that they are gaining for. It's
That
human
doesn't mean-
action.
That doesn't mean people are gonna stop like producing stuff.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. They're not, but what you were applying to socialism can also be applied to capitalism. So what's your contradiction here?
What do you mean it's contradiction? Just because they share.
Because that's what you're arguing against capitalism, are you not?
No,
But you can apply that to capitalism, and it'll also be able to be applied. It's also applicable.
But that's not why I don't like capitalism.
Okay, so then why don't you like capitalism? Because that was your contradiction, and I just
No, I'm a market socialist. What?
okay. So
The reason I want the means
well,
of
you're
production.
arguing socialism versus capitalism, are you not?
Yeah, and I'm saying yes, that's something they share, but that's not why capitalism is bad. Just
All right.
not every aspect of capitalism is bad, just some.
All right. So what's bad about it?
It's anti-democratic.
How?
If the means of productions are owned by the workers, then they get to collectively.
What about
decide
worker co-ops?
That's
Voluntary
what-
worker co-ops.
That's what a worker co-op is.
Yeah, well, under a capitalist society, there you can do worker co-ops. You're not forced into one. So would that make it socialist?
No,
So why don't we just push the narrative of worker co-ops that are very efficient, very beneficial to both the private company and the workers? Why don't we just push that narrative in a capitalist society and just stay where we are?
wait. There's somebody in the thing saying I'm chill with Braden. Is he trying to win
Sorry,
on
I
my
can't
side?
remember.
Right now it's a 1v2 and I'm new to economy, but I'm reading theory.
Oh, we
right?
are too.
All right,
Trust,
here.
we are not. I have to read a lot more theory. We can end this, by the way, if you want to.
No, I'm
Yeah.
good. If Ethan F wants to join and be on my
All right,
Oh,
yeah. You're just
You
doing
can
it.
send the link.
yeah,
You
no,
can
I
put a
don't
link
want
in the chat so you can get it there.
I don't want him to join. Never mind.
All right. So
Wait.
okay, but like, what was your contradiction to capitalism? If I could apply that to a capitalist society,
Who's the host?
So basically, I don't know. Am I the host?
just I don't know.
I can
I'm
remove-
not the host. I know I'm not.
I can remove myself from stream. I think.
I can leave the studio.
Oh, that means that you're host.
All right, I guess I'm host. Cool.
All right. So
Alright.
basically, it's capitalism is circular. I'll explain it why. Let's see. So let's see. So the proof that these greedy, self-interested aspects. So capitalism just assumes that human nature is greedy or selfish. So
Well,
No, all it says is that, all that capitalism is that it's dependent on human action, where we believe that the process or the progress to get to what we see as the solution or as the outcome is worth less than the outcome. So let's say if I was to make a sandwich, I am valuing the process of making that sandwich less than me eating the sandwich and getting the nutrients or the flavor out of the sandwich. That's what it is. I wouldn't say necessarily greed, but more self-interest, which is a virtue.
self-interest.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
so the proof that these self-interested aspects of our human nature are dominant is that when forced into a system that rewards self-interested behavior, people often act this way. Doesn't that seem circular?
Wait. So
Wait, you can go, Conrad.
can you repeat that? So it's circular. That
So when
what
put
part of
into a
axiology
system,
is circular.
Right. So it rewards self-interested behavior. So it's
Nature does, yes. If you want to say nature is just circular logic, then I guess
No, I'm
it
not
is.
saying nature is. I'm
It's in our
saying
nature, though.
no. I'm saying
Yes.
that.
Continue.
Okay,
Yeah.
so because capitalism is a system that rewards self-interested people, and if it rewards people that are self-interested, doesn't this seem circular because it's designed to be for self-interested people?
I mean, sure, but like the self interest of people are subjective. Or uh, my self interest of, let's say, playing soccer is not the same as the others. So it pretty much contradicts each. We would have to come into terms on where we believe that me playing soccer and you watching me play soccer is valuable to both of us for us to do it.
What?
I don't know how else to explain it. Like, well, we're in a society where self-interest is prevalent, right? But one self-interest can overdo the other, unless, because then it'd just be it wouldn't be our ideal society. That's where we would involve the authorities, right?
What?
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 I'm kind of
I don't. Okay, so
No,
you were
no, no,
saying
no,
you were
no,
saying
no, no.
that self-interest
But
is
you were
what
saying,
runs this.
hold on. So you said that if someone's self-interest overrides another, that means that we have to get the authorities involved. But that's what a free market is designed to like do. Like that's what
Well, a free market is designed for voluntary, like, transaction.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily the right wording. I think if your self-interest harms somebody else or somebody else's property, that's where the government comes in.
Is
Yeah.
self-interest always
Not
bad?
necessarily if you're.
No,
Self-interest, I mean, if you come into terms with another person's self-interest, then I suppose.
that doesn't make sense. It's like saying it's okay if I'm a rapist because I've come to terms with the fact that other people are
No,
rapists.
but the rape victim has to also come to terms with it. So then it wouldn't be considered rape. It wouldn't be considered rape. Brayden, it wouldn't be considered rape because they're both consenting to it. That's why I'm saying that's where we involve the government, right? Because I am a minarchist. I believe that there should be at least some government intervention. And if there's like kind of where the non-aggression principle comes in, but I mean, I'll have to rethink my position in that, but I'll use it for now, where you are the voluntary transaction is not present and it is only one-sided, or only one person is gaining something out of it, then I believe that it is wrong. Because then, because look,
So you're
the difference.
against
What's the difference between rape and
you're
sex?
against
Okay, wait.
So you're against monopolies
No,
because one person's
Mm.
self-interest is
that's not
overpowered.
necessarily true. And two, I don't think our system necessarily reinforces monopolies.
What?
Our current system does, but not
Our
our
current
ideal system.
Not our ideological. Yeah.
What's your ideal system?
Of a free market with like, well, we're minarchists, right? We believe in a free market with very little government intervention, where we believe that price competition is the driving factor to everything, where competition will make things more accessible at a cheaper price. Because if one was to not do so, then another store can come in and just swoop the
I have a
competition.
question. So if my wage is dependent on the economic success of the business, wouldn't I try my hardest so that the business prospers?
Yes.
Then you would be for mandating worker co-ops.
Not
I wouldn't
mandating.
say mandating, but if you were to push the narrative that it is beneficial to both of them, then yes.
Well, if something is
I'm not against worker
beneficial, why
co-ops.
wouldn't you-
I mean, if a business wants to do worker co-ops, go for it.
This is such a common argument, but if it's beneficial to the public, then why are we not mandating them?
I
What?
don't know, just because it hasn't been tried and hasn't been as efficient or as effective as people believe to implement it in.
No. I have 3 pages on why they are. Do you want me to give you some of the
Wait.
reasons?
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, I don't think you want to take down that road, Jose.
Well, I mean, I'm not
But
against
worker
worker co-ops. I think worker co-ops are very beneficial to us. They're very effective. I think we should push the narrative of it too, as well, where it would create competition and it would better the wages and the work environment of the workers.
Okay, so a case study of retail store in Spain found that co-op versions had more growth in sales as opposed to traditional stores.
What are you arguing here? I'm not
I'm
against worker
arguing-
co-ops.
Or for mandating them.
Okay, I don't think that we should forcibly put them in, but if the market itself
Why?
believes that it is beneficial to us,
Why?
well, because maybe the market finds a better solution to it or
No,
better
there
way
is no
for
better
it.
solution. Mandated.
Maybe there is. We don't know. When did
No,
we
there
before
isn't.
worker co-ops? What was the better solution? There's always we
Well,
always innovate and find things. And let's say, what if we just get rid of workers in general and the mechanical field takes over and we are like very industries and factories are run by machines.
Uh,
That would be beneficial to not only the private business end but also the consumers because it is more efficient.
I'm confused again.
Well, it's
We
kinda
just
like
believe that whatever the market sees as beneficial and more effective, then clearly it is good because it is
Do you
the
think
competition that
do you
is
think we should-
driving it.
Do you think we should? Let's see. What can I think of? Mandate not raping people. Do you think we should mandate that?
I mean, I think as a society we will figure that out as well.
No.
I don't think.
yes.
I think even us as a society we would be able to enforce that law.
Do you think we should mandate not raping people?
Sure. Let's just say yes.
And if
Okay,
it
well,
is,
rape isn't a consensual activity. Working for a company is.
It's a
What?
voluntary. It's a voluntary transaction.
okay, it's an analogy. I'm showing that if it is
Okay, yeah,
beneficial
yeah,
to
yeah.
society,
Okay, but this analogy isn't it's not contradicting to us because we
With that.
yeah because one is voluntary and one is not, and we're advocating for a voluntary
that's
voluntary
not
system.
the analogy. The point of the analogy is to show that if it's beneficial to the society, then we need to mandate it so that our economy can be more prosperous.
How is rape? All right, this is going to be really bad, but how is rape necessarily not beneficial for society? What if rape
What
makes
did you
people,
just
what
say?
if rape makes people more productive somehow?
Then we
Uh,
should mandate them.
Then we should mandate rape.
Yes.
Okay.
If
Why?
it is beneficial to the
If it
majority,
was more beneficial for me to kill,
See, this
let's
is like
say the person I'm competing for like let's say I'm going to college, right? Let's say I'm going to the University of Arkansas, and someone is also competing for the same spot as me, and it is beneficial for me and for my family. Let's say I have more family members than what they do, and us as a let's say so-called society or a group, it is more beneficial to us because we have more members. It will be okay for me to kill that person.
I have really bad ADHD. I zoned out again. What did you say?
Okay,
I-
so
I literally do
you're
this
good.
like-
You're good, bro. You're
I
good.
do this in all my
fine.
debates. I swear.
You're fine. You're fine. It's okay. So let's say that I am competing for a spot in a college,
Mhm.
and there's someone else that is also competing for that spot. But my family members will benefit more because of me going there. Like let's say I have one more family member than them,
Alright,
but
so-
we're both in the same situation, both same GPA, both same price bracket or like income bracket. But it would be more beneficial for me because I have one more person in my family to kill that person for my spot. Would that be okay?
If the United States was just your family, this would be applicable. But because it's not, then no.
But your argument is that because it is beneficial to a society, then yes. And I'm saying that my society, let's say my society, I consider my group a society. And if I were to kill
No.
one person,
Society has
And
to
one
be
of-
the majority.
I'm making a thought experiment because there's different societies. Will you not say that we are? Are you saying that we are all one society, or is there different societies?
There's there's multiple societies, but it has to be the majority. Here, give
Okay.
Ethan the code. Actually,
And
I
I just gave you a thought experiment where I have the majority, and
Ethan,
pretty much it would be majority rule, right? Where whatever the majority thinks is beneficial to them, we should decide.
Yes, we should decide that.
Okay,
I think
so
it's just
by
really-
that logic, I should be able to kill that person because it is beneficial to the majority.
If it is so, there again, these two things aren't applicable because one is the United States economy and one is.
But you just agree that there's different societies, and I just gave you a thought experiment where my society would benefit more by killing this one person.
I will concede the word society. I'm at the United States America.
Okay, let's say that the U.S. If
States
the U.S. us as the U.S. were to kill one person in Mexico because let's just say because his market is doing better than us, and it would be beneficial to us because we have the majority to kill that one person because he's running that market. Would we be able to do that without any repercussions, either morally, legally, whatever?
Well, there would be repercussions because you're killing somebody, but worker
But
co-ops.
with the majority rules though, so there shouldn't be any repercussions.
That doesn't mean there shouldn't be repercussions. That just means you should do that thing.
Okay, so you agree with that then. You also then if by that logic, if you're taking the utilitarian logic, then we should also have put Chinese Americans into concentration camps during the Reagan administration because we were having such awful ties with them, and a majority of the U.S. citizens wanted them to be in concentration camps. So should we have done that?
Again, I'm not saying they were good. I'm just.
But you're arguing off of a utilitarian.
Get Ethan in here. Copy and paste the link into the chat.
I pasted it. He has it.
He does.
But
Ethan.
somebody else is in charge of.
I don't see
Someone
anyone.
copy and paste Ethan in the chat. Copy and paste the link into chat.
I did.
You did? I don't see it. Here, I'll DM him.
Oh, you can't post links, I don't think.
Capitalist Safari Hat. I'm DMing you the link.
Yeah, just send it.
I don't know if I'm the host or not. I'm just gonna tell you that.
If you're the host, can you see anything that says
It says what?
wait,
All I see for my thing is mute, start cam/mic settings,
At
share
the
screen,
very-
and leave studio.
at the very bottom where it says you are in the show, next to it should be your name. Does anybody see anything else there?
All I see is my name. You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you, and then it just says my name, Jose, and then pro life.
Yeah. What's yours over there?
Nah, it doesn't say anything different.
Huh.
Alright, well, I think you can only have one host. I think you can't transfer host, but
Yeah, he must not transfer the host.
I want to do a formal debate on socialism. I wasn't really thinking about it, so
A formal. I mean, this is. We're still not going to debate on socialism because I need to read more theory. I'm just kind of poking holes on what your reasoning is.
where do I have it? Oh, I need to DM you it. Here.
Yeah, if you want to have Ethan here for not even a debate, just more of a discussion, then I'm fine with that.
This is not a debate, obviously.
Yeah, because this is just me trying to understand your reasoning. I mean, of course, there's going to be I need to do more research onto it because maybe you're not well informed into it, and I'm not well informed into free market capitalism and minarchism. So you could probably poke holes into mine, and I think this is where we both get something out of it rather than it just being a win or lose.
Cool. Is he on? No. Oh. Walker.
Can you see? Were you the host, Walker?
Yeah, he is. Oh, there, he's gone. He's the host, yeah.
Okay, well, he's gonna have all those settings.
He's gone now. He said, I'm out.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have anything against that, Braden?
I'd like to do a better one, in a week or two. I gotta finish.
A week or two? Yo, I can't read that much theory in a week. I'm
Yeah, me
busy.
Bro, start with human action and then just pray.
Well, I mean, human action is just where the process or the progress to get to the outcome is worth less to that person than the outcome.
Yeah, but there's a lot of applications with it. I can suggest a book that's basically like a baby book of human action, sort of.
Sure.
It's only 300 pages, and
Okay.
Here, I'll put it in the chat, but it basically just goes over human action in like a really basic way. It's called
I sent it to you.
Choice by Robert.
Tell Ethan I sent it through his DMs. I gotta go, guys. See y'all.
All right.
So I'm reading it right now, and it's pretty good. It's pretty easy to understand, and there's
Yeah.
lots of arguments in it that are good.
I was just poking holes in
Yeah.
Braden's argument. If I was to go against someone like Harrison again on socialism, I would get absolutely
Right.
bodied. So I'm just trying to.
Harrison
isn't
got
even a-
bodied by
lose.
Harrison got bodied by AFTA like really badly.
When?
It's on who's
Classical liberal hypos?
no, it was on Verbum.